All right, let's do classic Google search
Oh
movie
yeah. We haven't done one of
news.
these. We haven't done one of these in a while.
And the first image I see is Zendaya and those two boys on the bed just getting frisky with it. That's the movie that's all over right now. Movie news, IMDb 9 hours ago. Oh, I don't know if any of this is.
Yeah, that is. Ah. I was so surprised that we actually got that movie, because I just thought it was gonna be some kind of like at the theater at the.
You got Challengers there?
Yeah, we do.
Weird.
Really surprising to me because like it feels a little like art housey adjacent.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
it does.
It's a foreign director. It's like the guy that like Call Me by Your Name and the Suspiria remake and stuff, like stuff that we didn't get at the theater when those were out. Right.
And a lot of the promotional material for this movie is like that scene where it's like an MMF sort of threesome situation, and that just seems pretty raunchy and risque for the sensibilities of the people in the town where the theater's located.
Especially since allegedly, I'll say, but I mean, I guess I'm not using any names anyways. But one of the higher up people, like at the company, didn't want us. I don't think just us. I think like any of the theaters maybe to get Oppenheimer, because there's like before he'd seen it, he said that there was like you see a penis, it's like male nudity. And it's talking about the scene where like he like you don't see anything of him, but it's talking about the scene where they're like in the boardroom and it's like the Emily Blunt like imagines him having sex with Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
I think that's what it was referring to, but like apparently like there was a big stink about that. I'm like, I'm pretty sure there's actual dick in this movie, like multiple dicks.
Well, that's the thing is that what's it rated? Is it rated R?
Yeah, it's rated R.
Because I saw a post from someone who had seen it and said that the levels of like sensuality in that movie is like more PG-13 than R.
I've also heard that the sexy MMF,
because it's a movie about tennis.
More like
it's a movie about tennis.
Keyword like subcategories. I'm drawing a blank. That's not usually my bag.
Yeah.
That addition problem or
the Pornhub SEO.
Yeah.
Because I saw a clip from that movie where like the three of them are like making out, and then she slowly backs her head away, and the two dudes just are going at it, and it's like whoa. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird to have that be a key marketing thing for your movie, and then when you show the actual movie, dial it back a little bit. Like I say go for it. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll probably try to see it sometime this week though. So like since we got it,
a lot of people that I follow on Letterboxd are rating it pretty high. Seems like people like it a lot. So
yeah. We will have a first-hand account next week on.
Yeah, some classic field reporting.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Other movie news. People are mad about Deadpool and Wolverine. I guess the people are mad about the trailer. I saw some like prompt going around that people were like talking about color grading on it, and I guess it looks like super flat. Like they shot it in log and then didn't like color correct it at all. I don't know, but I felt it like also could just be dummies online.
I saw the trailer. I watched it like once and probably on my fucking phone, so I didn't really like pay too much attention to that. But I will say, I do think, I mean, I haven't seen the second one. I've seen clips here and there and stuff, but like the first one I've seen, and I do think that one looks really like flat and kind of boring.
I don't know why that is like a trend now. Like there's certain trends, like Netflix shows all look kind of like blue, dark-ish. And then I feel like a lot. Yeah, and then I remember the live action Little Mermaid movie.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about this. There's like there's a trailer, and there's like this scene where like she's kind of sitting in like this circle that's illuminated, and she's underwater, and she kind of like looks up, and it looks so flat and gray and colorless and lifeless. Yeah. That I don't know why movies look like that now. I don't know the maybe it's a meta commentary on like the fact that we're destroying the coral reef. So it's like the Little Mermaid singing, and it's just like it's all gone. She's got like a 6-pack plastic wrapper like around her wrist,
Yeah. She's like her head's like grown in like a deformed way because it's like
she as a child had some sort of like plastic bag around her face.
Yeah.
Yes, I like that.
Especially when it's like the Disney animated remakes. Like if you look at like a scene comparison, they're so like bright and colorful and poppy and like fun and like interesting looking, and then like that or like the Lion King. Lion King is such like an egregious
I've never understood why it's like it's not like the realism that people go for in those movies. It's the colorful characters and the vibrancy and the songs, and it's like, what if we took away all of that stuff and just made it
and just did the realism?
Like no.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
Yeah. So that's movie news for
that's it.
Welcome back to There Will Be Duds. This is episode 149, and I am your co-host TJ, and with me, as always,
I'm Nick, and it's Dudsmas Eve. It's 149. We're almost there.
Yeah. It is. And to celebrate, we decided to watch a movie this week.
Yeah.
And that movie is A History of Violence from 2005, directed by David Cronenberg. It follows a family man who lives in middle of nowhere, Indiana, named Tom Stahl, who kills two guys who come into his restaurant out of like self-defense, and then a lot of media attention from being like a local hero. And he starts getting accosted by other weird, creepy men who say that he is somebody else. And then it turns out he is somebody else. And then he kills those guys. And then he goes and deals with more people. And then he kills those guys. It's Cronenberg. I think this is his first. It's probably not his first ever. I don't think Crash is technically like body horror, but that still feels more like his kind of normal fare than this. This feels like his first attempt at like maybe like a serious like professional
I feel like it's
movie.
It's more of like a palatable one. It's like a good, like, if you want to ease your friend into David Cronenberg as a director, this movie kind of has some of his like interests and vices and like stuff that he's into, but it has it packaged in a much more easier to digest thing, as opposed to like, putting a video cassette in your stomach, or your head exploding, or all those weird little guys from The Brood. There's this one guides you a little more gently into his whole deal.
Mind.
Yeah.
He
said he's a family man, but there's another family man who once said, "It seems today that all you see is violence in movies and sex on TV." And boy, howdy, does this family man deliver on that.
On all those things, Have
you seen this before?
Yeah, I've seen it before.
Because like I saw it like probably 10 plus years ago.
Yeah, I was probably in high school.
More than that.
Yeah.
I remember Ed Harris, and I remember a scene on the stairs. I thought the scene on the stairs was violent, and I guess in some cases this one was too, but I thought it was more like of a shootout or something. So
I had the same thought. I'm thinking
weird.
I must be thinking of some other movie. I do remember the stair scene in this too. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought there was like somebody like coming up the stairs, and then like somebody shoots him with like a shotgun, like much like the double-barreled shotgun.
Why do we have this collective memory of this?
It has to be some movie. It has to be some
weird
other movie.
That you and I both thought that, because I was like, oh, okay, so there is a scene on the stairs.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and
I totally thought it was something else.
The first time like you see someone go up the stairs, I was like, oh yeah, that's the spot. That's where. Yep, that's how I remember it. That's how it looks. And then
what the hell?
Yeah, and
that's wild.
I was like, surely like Ed Harris like gets into their house or something.
Yes, that's what I thought. I was waiting for that.
And like the wife shoots him or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so I don't know. It's got to be just some other random movie. Man,
Yeah.
it'd be nice if we had listeners who could like help us out in this.
Yeah.
Because there'd be somebody out there who's like,
they'd find the
YouTube
video immediately and like link it in the comments or something.
Yeah. It's fun. It's fun playing pretend.
Yeah. Speaking of playing pretend, I'm gonna put my cards on the table. I like this movie quite a bit. I had a good time with it.
Nice.
I thought it was a good little tight 90. I thought all the performances were really good. I'm not going into my wrap up, but I'm just kind of prefacing with all this.
Yeah.
And I just Vigo is great.
Yeah,
and
Vigo is like standout. Yeah, he's always great in like everything he's in.
Yeah,
and yeah, they pack a lot into 90 minutes. Because I noted like, and I feel like I kind of like remembered this from the first time I saw it, that like it's kind of like three, like almost like a mini series or like three like mini movies in one. Because it's like almost roughly like a half hour is devoted to each one, where it's like the first one you open with this scene of Stephen McHattie and this other guy who I know from something, I meant to look him up, but they're like the bad guys, and then they show up and then he kills them. Okay. And then some other people hear about that, Ed Harris and his goons, and so they show up and they start harassing them for the next 30 minutes, and then they die. And then William Hurt's like, hey, now I'm calling you, and so he has to go deal with that, and then he kills him. So it's like it's three like kind of connected but kind of separated like bad guys. He takes them out like at each, like that's how each act ends. Each act of this movie ends with like him killing another like group of dudes.
Yeah. I really enjoyed the first shot too. It's like 4 minutes uninterrupted.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, and I think the only thing that kind of dragged a little bit, I think maybe there were some pacing issues. Maybe there were like not enough time spent with certain characters. I don't know. I'm trying to think of like any sort of issues that I had, and I'm kind of coming up blank, because I mean, again, it's 90 minutes. It's pretty lean. Yeah, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank right now. This is weird, because I like went for a walk and I was thinking about this movie, and I was like, yeah, I want to talk about this and this and that, and now I'm just like, yeah.
Well, I'll say that like I think, I don't know, I'm conflicted, because I think like it did serve its purpose in like the overall story, but it also felt really abrupt how quickly the storyline like with the bully ended, the like school bully. Like it plays its part. Like it, you get the, okay, he gets a target put on his back because he catches the, he wins the game and makes a fool out of the bully. And then he has the couple scenes where the bully's like antagonizing him and he's like turning the other cheek. A lot of the, the clips, like where he's in the locker room, I could imagine seeing on those like Sigma male posting Facebook like groups with like the cool like epic music in the background sort of thing.
Oh yeah.
You've established your alpha male standing. You've established my unworthiness. Doing violence to me just seems pointless and cruel. Don't you think?
Let's do this, you punk bitch!
Shouldn't that be little punk-ass chicken shit bitch?
And then it comes to a head and he beats the shit out of him and stuff, and then he has the scene with his dad where he's like, oh no, that's not what we do in this family. Oh, we shoot them or whatever. So I get the point that the arc served, but it did feel like there was like a decent amount of time like spent on it, and then it just
leading up to that
gone.
I feel the storyline with the son does end pretty abruptly, although I think what I noted about that and what I liked about it was it kind of going on with the theme of like a history of violence and like the secrets of the father that the family doesn't know about, very much like how when his diner is getting robbed and he very, very skillfully just like bing, bang, boom, like takes them out to the point where people are like, it's weird that you're that good at that, huh? That's kind of strange. The son is also very adept at like, because he was smooth with it. Yeah. And I'm like, oh. He's the son of this guy. Like, is it a genetic thing? Because as far as we know, he's not really doing that at home. Like, he's not like he plays a very like gee shucks type of guy. But it's like his son's got it in him too. Because when he doesn't just defend himself against the bullies. Like the dad's like, we don't put him in hospitals. So it's like, he freaked out on him and very skillfully took him out.
I kind of had that feeling with that too. And like I said, like as you get farther into the movie, it's like that's not the son and the bully is not the main like driving force of the story, and like you got to get more into that. It'd be weird if it was like cutting between Vigo like driving to William Hurt's house and then like cuts back to the son like in school getting bullied and like intercutting with that still would be a little weird. So like it does I think overall make sense. Just like it was a little, I don't know, it's like I can't even really fault it for it, but I still like noticed it kind of just dropping out or whatever. And like, and also like I didn't like it's not like I missed it anyway. Like it wasn't like a super. I was much more interested in like the main story than the son bully storyline. Anyways, so it's not like I was wanting more of it necessarily.
It's very funny that this bully was so mad about a fly ball.
I know.
Like that's all it was. And he's just like, you're dead meat. And he's just like, I caught the ball. Like he didn't even like you suck. I caught It's like he did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Like you're an idiot for hitting a pop fly and being like, I'm the coolest guy ever.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, when he like made that stink face, I was like, don't hit a fucking pop fly for the final out of the game, idiot. Like, do you think you're that good?
Yeah. And I think the other thing that kind of, there was one scene in particular where I thought that something was going to happen and then the scene just kind of ended. And it was when the son and his girlfriend were like sitting on like the steps of some building on a street corner and like talking. I think he even has like a line where he's talking about like becoming like your parents, becoming like boring or something along those lines. And she's like, you depress me. And he's like, that's what I do. And then the bullies drive by and like, hey, isn't that, well, that beep that caught that fly ball? Because they call him the F slur several times.
Yeah.
Good old 2006. And so they're like, yeah, we should go beat the shit out of him. And they're like, yeah, let's go do that. And then they kind of do this U-turn in the road. And then our two guys that we see at the beginning of the movie kind of cut them off a little bit, or like the bullies cut off the two guys. And he immediately, I love that he immediately looks up and flips him off as if he wasn't the one doing like an illegal U-turn in the middle of the road like an idiot.
Oh, that doesn't matter.
And then these like the two guys from the beginning of the movie kind of like give the bullies like a look. And I wasn't sure if I was supposed to recognize like recognition in their eyes, like if the two bullies knew these dudes or what, because there was kind of a weird thing where they like just kind of had a stare down with each other, and I'm like, do these guys know each other from somewhere? It kind of
seemed like that, yeah.
And then the two guys in the beginning drive off, and the bullies like kind of, I think they do like they peel out, presumably to go over to the son to like beat the shit out of him or whatever. And then the scene just kind of ends. It cuts away to something else. I think it might cut back to the diner when like the two guys like show up after closing time, and then like, you know, I think they're gonna like rob it or something. Yeah, that's when they're gonna rob it. Yeah. But I was like, oh, that, I guess we're not gonna resolve that. Like maybe the bullies got freaked out because of these two guys. Like I don't know.
That's what I thought. I thought he just left. Like he just kind of bailed on that idea.
So I think some of the non-storyline stuff can be like a little clunky, I guess. Stuff like stuff with the son and like kind of his whole deal. Yeah. But I did like his like effective takedown of the bully, and then like almost like realizing he has like superpowers once he finds out who his dad is, you know, essentially.
Yeah. All the violence is pretty like good. It's made me think of something like Brawl in Cell Block 99 or somewhat. There's not like quite as much violent, or I guess just like S. Craig Zahler stuff, because like Bone Tomahawk too. That very kind of quick, no like flourish. It's just kind of like it happens. It's pretty brutal, and then it's over. You know,
yeah, I think
like big music swell or anything. It's just kind of like boom, boom, boom. Done.
Yeah, and kind of reading some of the IMDb trivia notes, I do think that was intentional on David Cronenberg's part. Like, I don't think he wanted it to give the viewer the impression that like this guy's cool and violence is cool and doing this to people is cool when you're a cool guy.
Yeah, okay.
Like, it's very, because oh man, the diner scene, like he gets the first guy, I think he shoots him in the face or something like that, and there's a cutaway to him and he's like laying on the floor, and like I think like the front half of his face is just like missing, and you can hear him just like like
no, that was I think that was Stephen McHattie. He shoots him through the back of the head, and I guess right, and it exited out his
that's
jaw.
That's right. But I was like, there it is. There's that David Cronenberg stuff. There it is. I found it.
There's definitely a little bit of that. And then when he takes out Ed Harris and his guys, he like the first guy, he like does like a boom, 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 like palms his nose, and then you get a shot of him on the ground with like a caved in nose.
Yeah. Yep.
So it doesn't totally avoid showing it, but you know, it's not necessarily like glorifying it or whatever, which definitely kind of feels like the point, or a point, one of the points or whatever. That guy too, the one guy who was with Stephen McHattie, I realized what I know him from. He's one of the people in the game in Saw 5. He's like the really like shitty, sleazy dude, and he is one of, or maybe the only guy who survives. You know what I'm talking about? That's the one where they have to pick somebody to like die each game, and the whole time you're like, why don't they just kill this guy? He's really annoying and he's like really shitty, but they always like kill like the smarter people, and then when it gets to the end, there's like 2 people left, and they're like, he's like, you have to fill this with like 10 or 20 pints of blood, and if all of you were still here it would be really easy, but since it's just you two, it's like half of your blood or whatever.
Hold on, I'm gonna look him up. Oh yeah, I remember this guy now. Right, because he has like his hand like,
he's the one who's
yeah,
that's the thing where they have to give blood or whatever.
That's
and they do
right.
it by like sawing their hands or whatever. Maybe it's just because I know it's Howard Shore, because he's done all or most all of Cronenberg stuff. But I was getting major like Lord of the Rings Remnant themes in this. There's like one really early on where they're just like driving into town, and it sounds similar to the I'm not sure what theme it is, but it's the da-na-na, na-na-na. I'm losing it.
Hi.
But yeah, okay.
I think I recognize that too, because this is 2005, so this is
pretty soon after.
Yeah. Yeah, God, what other shit is like? I feel like every time it's Howard Shore, we're like, what else has Howard Shore done? I mean, if we're talking like repeat directors, Howard Shore, I feel like is a repeat composer for like stuff that we've done on the show. I thought, Ed Wood.
Oh yeah, Ed Wood. Yeah, but yeah, he's done most all of Cronenberg stuff, as far as I know. Like, he did The Brood, even. He's been doing stuff with him that far back.
The Departed. He did The Aviator. He did all of the Twilight movies.
Nice.
King Kong. He's done a handful of stuff that we've done on the show. Oh yeah, Sounds of the Lambs. Yeah, Howard Shore is up there. Like, he puts in work.
Yeah, it really does. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I knew that about or if I realized he did Ed Wood too. That's cool.
I feel like, God damn it, I feel like I had way more to say about this one, because last week we did Some Like It Hot, and I finished the movie like right before we started recording, and I felt like I had nothing to say. And then like I watched this a few hours ago, and I was like, yeah, no, I really like that. I'm ready to like jump into the ideas and the themes of the movie. And now I'm here, and I'm just drawing a blank, like a total blank. I think what I really latched onto was the multiple meanings of like the history of violence. And I think David Cronenberg explains it too. Like, it's, that's how they describe like someone who has like committed crimes. They have a history of violence. But then you can also look at it in terms of like on a timeline, like this is man, this is what man does, kind of stuff. And like, no matter what you try to do, no matter what type of like peaceful life that you try to lead, like it'll always find its way into your orbit. And you can do one of two things, and it's it's clearly Viggo's, he knows what he has to do to like protect his family,
Yeah. Well, I got some. Do they say like, I'm not sure if I just missed this or if it's never said or what, but Stephen McHattie and the Saw guy, are they like, do they know that he is Joey, or are they just so. Like, you think they're just kind of like random murderer guys who go around like
So
and it's just like a coincidence, and because like I'm not like either way. I wasn't sure if they did or not, because they didn't quite get to the point of them being like, hey Joey, because it was a lot like quicker, their interaction.
I think literally they had nothing to do with Ed Harris's guys. On the IMDb trivia, it said the actors who played the two robbers in the cafe came up with their own backstory about why the men were traveling together. According to them, the older man was the younger man's uncle, and he was taking him across country after the younger man had been released from prison. So they kind of came up with their own backstory, because I think the first 4 minutes, like that kind of long take, I feel like it was kind of a bait and switch, where like you think that the movie is gonna, like, you think these are like the guys that are going to like cause trouble in the neighborhood, and they kind of do, because like you really get at the beginning you get this scene where they're leaving and they're like, oh yeah, the water's out, like go into the office, fill it up with water. And as soon as he comes out, and like I think he even like wipes his hands and throws the rag in the trash, I'm like, yeah, he killed everybody in there. Like that was pretty telegraphed. Yeah. And so the guy goes in to like fill up the water, and a little girl comes out of her bedroom, and he looks at her, and I'm like, I know he's gonna do it. And he pulls, but it's like it kind of fixates on him for a little bit. He pulls his gun out and shoots her. And I feel like the way that they framed all of that kind of stuff, it really like made you think that these are characters that we're going to watch develop. And then they're just kind of fodder for Vigo to just they're just henchmen, like in a video game that you just dispatch very easily. I think literally the only reason that they exist is they rob the store, and that's what gets him on national news. Yeah. And then everybody who knows him sees him on the TV, and they're like, oh, that's Joey. What's he doing there? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I will say, the stuff with Ed Harris, he like chews up every scene that he's in, and I don't know. I'm an Ed Harris fan. Whenever he's in stuff, I'm pretty stoked about it.
I know that my husband is Tom Stahl. That's what I know.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you ask Tom about his older brother, Richie? Ask Tom about how he tried to rip my eye out with barbed wire. And ask him, Edie, how come he's so good at killing people?
Yeah,
recently he was in Love Lies Bleeding, that Kristen Stewart movie, and he has like this long ass
I've seen the
skullet.
Skullet, that's right.
Yeah. And he's in Creep Show, the Stephen King thing. Yeah. From like, and I don't know, I think he's in the one where like they serve her head on a platter or something like that. It's one of the early Creep Show sketches, but it's like, even then he looks like he's about 50 plus years old. I think he's like maybe in his like early 30s. But I love him in everything. But his character I thought was great. The way that he was just there were moments where I feel like even Vigo looked like Ed Harris. I don't know if that was intentional, but like there were certain shots where like I feel like with his jawline, I think he even had like a similar like scar on his eye. I was like, he even kind of looks like him. I don't know if that was an intentional thing, but I thought it was odd that it's just like, you're connected to these guys to the point where you're even kind of look like them.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. Yeah, I hadn't noticed that, but that would be cool if that was intentional or whatever.
Yeah.
I was glad that the scene on the stairs, I was like, oh yeah, yep, this is here, but I was glad I remembered it more negatively. I was like, okay, at least it's consensual. I thought it was not as consensual, so that was like a breath of fresh air. It's definitely like a heat of the moment type thing, but it's not a.
Yeah, and apparently even David Cronenberg himself was like, I guess that was other people's reaction too. So like, I think he really, when they shot that scene, he really wanted it to be like, no, she is taking charge and doing this.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
I think that was an intentional part on his part. But I think, you know, there's a lot of discourse about like sex scenes in movies being like pointless. Like, why is this in here? This is literally not relevant to the plot. Like, I don't know, there's a lot of like, apparently the Zoomers are like not having sex or whatever because they're all on their phones. I don't like whatever. But there's like, you know, I've seen there's a lot of like stuff that I've seen about like sex scenes in movies, and I feel like this is my opinion. I feel like this is a good example of like an effective sex scene in the movie because I think it reveals things about the characters. Like, I think
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
I think with his wife Edie, she's conflicted about him because this is like the guy that she's been married to for all these years. She thinks she knows this guy, and then she kind of has a rug pull, you know, where she's just like, everything that I've known about this guy is wrong. And then she has an opportunity to kind of rid herself of this, because being in this guy's orbit has only brought death and destruction. And it's like a very like kind of Skylar White thing where she can easily get out of this situation, and yet she tells off the cop and was like, Tom's a good man, like haven't we endured enough? And he basically stops his line of questioning right there.
Yeah.
Policeman of the year, obviously.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know.
And then as soon as he's gone, she gets up and is, you know, right back to pissed at him. Like, she defended him. She basically helped maintain his identity, but she's also still upset about it. And then they kind of have this fight. And I feel like it's almost like the adrenaline of the fight, seeing her husband in this new light. It's like she doesn't know how to feel about it. Where and then yeah, we have this like sex scene on the stairs, which I've seen a lot of like letterbox reviews. Like, this is the first time I've ever seen like a like sex scene on the stairs. To them, I say, go watch a little movie called The Room from Tommy Wiseau if you want to see some incredible sex scenes on the stairs.
Good point. Damn,
you
that's
want to
a
see
fucking slam dunk.
if you want to see Greg Sestero just pile driving Lisa's belly button, go watch The Room. But apparently, I guess like they were concerned about them hurting themselves on the stairs, so like I guess they had to go to the I don't know if it was like the props department or what, but they had to get like knee pads or whatever for them.
That's funny to think of. Yeah,
but I thought it was really affecting how she was kind of oscillating between like anger and distrust and hurt, but also just like she doesn't know how to feel. And then that the way that like violence turns into it's very animalistic. And I think kind of hits on that theme of like, you know, man is violent. This is very like this is almost like a Cormac McCarthy story. It feels like some sort of like
it does feel
hot Texan, like just Southern Gothic type thing, because like even in that opening sequence, you hear like the cicadas or whatever, and I feel that oppressive heat of them stepping out of the motel. It's like 8 o'clock in the morning, and it's like 90 degrees out and just muggy.
I know, yeah.
like Texas Chainsaw, like you feel that heat.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It takes place in Indiana. Never mind.
Yeah, well, I didn't. That's okay.
Felt like Texas to me. It felt like a very like Texas story.
They could have been in Texas in the opening scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was Millbrook, Indiana, which I meant to check to see if that was a real town or not. Not a big deal, but
it's not. I guess they shot it in Millbrook, Ontario.
Oh, okay. Well,
because Cronenberg is Canadian.
Yeah. I was wondering if Mug Root Beer was Canadian too, because that was
There was
not quite Mac and Me Coke levels of product placement, but
Yeah,
there was a few.
Yeah, he gets one out of like the hotel, and then I think the son, after he beats the shit out of the bully,
Yeah.
I think he grabs one out of the fridge, and it's like Mug Root Beer, the official drink of killing a bunch of people.
Yeah.
It's like you see these scenes of violence, and then you see hand like, yeah, Mug Root Beer.
Yeah. Yeah, I did like the if they did shoot it, and I mean, I'm Ontario's not too different from like Michigan, I guess, but it did the town felt very like authentically like small town Midwest.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like it kind of got that little main street with like the one road that has kind of all the little shops on it.
And like,
but also
that's it.
You're like a 10-minute run from isolated woods.
Yeah.
Which
yeah, exactly.
that was kind of crazy when he like sees the car and he just like runs all the way home. He does kind of have like superhuman strength, because like I don't know what the timeline of this movie is, but he gets stabbed in the foot, and then it feels like within a couple days he's like sprinting and running around, or like he gets shot in the arm by like Ed Harris or one of his goons, and then like within a few days he's like doing action hero shit.
Oh shit! You mentioned the stair sex scene from the room. I actually had another room connection.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just so this is in the first sex scene, the more happy one, I guess.
The 69.
Yeah. But there's parts like she kind of like is going or like starting to go down on him or whatever, and Vigo has very Mike from The Room like sex expressions. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I did notice that too. He's like,
it's like acting like she's never done this before.
Yeah. Yeah, even I feel like even that scene, when she started doing like the cheer stuff, I started to cringe a little bit. Like when she's like, okay, I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that idea that she's like we never got to be teenagers together, so we're gonna like kind of do this facsimile romance of like if we were like high schoolers together, and it kind of like hammers in on the fact that they did not know each other, because like they're in a small town where like usually everybody knows everybody, and he's like this sort of outsider. Like they aren't teenage sweethearts like probably everyone else in the town is.
Yeah, that's what I wonder is like how did he like begin to ingratiate himself in like the small town community?
Yeah.
To the point where everybody's like, oh, it's ridiculous that like
right.
That like this couldn't be you, or it's like, if he's like the one guy there who like wasn't like born and raised there.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like immediately believe what these strange men who come into town are saying, but
right.
It gives a little bit of credence or worth thinking about it or whatever.
Yeah. I couldn't believe that they basically alluded to a 69 scene, though. I feel like you don't see that very often in movies. And I was
Not
like,
really.
yep, only Cronenberg would be like, because like there's like the shot where she like they kind of like get into shape and their legs are kind of like up around each other's heads, and I was like, kind of looks like body horror, I guess. They just kind of look like a pile of limbs.
Yeah. Yeah, because I also had that thought like, oh, you don't see that too much. The only other one I could think of in like a mainstream thing is The Americans. There's a 69ing scene in the show The Americans. I think their daughter like walks in on them in that.
Jeez. I guess in The White Lotus there's a rim job scene, which you don't see a lot of rim jobs either.
Oh yeah, right.
With like the hotel manager. And
yeah. Murray. Well, that's his real name.
Yeah.
I forget what his name is in the show.
Yeah, the best character in that entire show.
Yeah. Easy.
And then the third act. How do you feel about the third act? Like him driving to Philadelphia to go see William Hurt as his brother in an Academy Award nominated
I
performance.
saw that. Weird.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Another guy that I felt like he was just kind of chewing up the scenery a little bit with like his.
Yeah.
You know, it was fun, but it felt a little overacty at times.
How do you fuck that up?
The fact that he kept calling him broheem
Yeah.
was like really
and,
good.
His
I like
fucking
that.
goatee. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, it was. I think it was. I remember when he's driving over. I checked the time. I was like, "There's 20 minutes left." I'm like, "Man, I'm like, kind of vaguely sort of remembering the movie from before. I'm like, man, this feels like a lot to unpack in 20 minutes." But I think ultimately it handled it pretty well.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know. The only thing I could think of is like maybe in the Ed Harris segment. Maybe William Hurt could have called him then too, like called him on the phone, and maybe it was a little more like vague, like he didn't allude to them being brothers yet or something like that. Like he just calls him, and so there's at least some contact with the William Hurt character beforehand. That'd be the only thing that I would say is like put something with him in earlier.
Yeah.
Just to show, so it's not like this complete, like I've said a couple times, that it's like a start and stop with like 3 different times with like the different bad guys and stuff. It'd be nice to have like some little preview, next time on A History of Violence, so that when Ed Harris dies, you can just kind of roll into like, oh well, we know we have this other guy to deal with.
Yeah. So he sort of alludes to it. There's the scene where the mom and the daughter go to the store to like get shoes, or they go to the mall, and she kind of runs off, and Ed Harris finds her, and the mom comes out and she's like pissed off about it, and he starts like telling her stuff like, oh yeah, there's a lot you don't know about Joey. Like, did he ever tell you that he has a brother, Richie? So like he sort of plants the idea in her head a little bit that he does have a brother, but I don't think he really says anything beyond that. So you don't really think like, oh yeah, he's like also like a connected guy in this mob. So I guess he exists, but you don't really know like what he does beyond being his brother. Like you assume that they're probably somewhat estranged if he's completely like changed his identity and is like a different person, because I forgot about like the third act about this of this movie. I totally forgot about all that stuff.
That was what I forgot the most about. Yeah.
And like part of me was like, I kind of wish that he actually wasn't Joey. I think it would have been interesting if like the entire time they kept thinking he was this guy and he just like wasn't. It was just like a complete mistake, and I don't know how they would have resolved it, but I think it would have been interesting if like everyone just assumes that he's this old gangbanger, like crazy guy.
Is just a guy,
and he's just a guy who's good with guns. I don't know.
Yeah. No,
like it had been long enough that I saw it that I actually didn't remember if he actually was or not.
Okay.
So
I knew he was. I remember that.
Okay.
Yeah. But that would have been, I do like that thought. Or that he is like a former hitman or something like that, but not the one that they were thinking of. Like he's much worse or something like that.
Yeah.
Like he's actually like John Wick or whatever.
Right.
Completely fucked.
And then the last scene I really liked. I thought it was very affecting, and like there was like pretty much no dialogue whatsoever. Like they're having like their family dinner, and then he shows up, and it's like very tense, and everybody kind of stops moving. And like when the daughter gets up and puts his plate at the table, I felt something. It wasn't tears, but I definitely was like, oh, like it was very. I thought it was pretty moving. Yeah. And again, the fact that there was like no dialogue whatsoever, completely visual, you know, completely, you have to interpret what they're doing just by like their body language and like how they're moving. And then like the son takes like the plate of like the rump roast or whatever and hands it over to him. But I also had this thought, where are they doing it because
they're scared of him? Yep, I had that same thought. Yeah,
because
which I hope not.
The daughter, I don't think the daughter really can conceptualize all of what's going on. She seems much more like, oh hell yeah, dad's back. But the son, the way that the son puts the plate next to his, it had this like level of like deference to it, where I was like, are you doing it because like you're glad that your dad's home and you love him, or you're like, you've learned all of this stuff about your dad, and like, if you step one toe out of line, he's gonna, you know, cave in the front of your face with his palm.
Yeah, no, I had the same thought. I do think the that was like the way to do it, rather than some grand like, you know, like big like blowout where and then they all kind of like make up or not at the end or whatever. So I think that was the way to do it. No, the funny thing is I'm pretty sure the last line in the movie is Jesus Richie after he shoots his brother. I don't think there's another spoken word.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. That's interesting. Yeah. Because he says that, kills Richie, goes and like kind of washes his face off in the lake. And then I think the next shot you get is his truck pulling in. And like, that's it.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. It's still like, yeah, it's like, it's not like super long. It's like 5-ish minutes maybe. With nothing.
I like that his truck was basically like just dead, wasn't working, and then he drives it 600 miles to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Which then I was like, is that also like one of the lies? Like he's like, oh yeah, my truck doesn't work, and then it's just like actually, you know, it's like his bug out bag. Like if he has to like when the heat comes and he has to like dip, like his truck actually works really well.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't think about that. I did find myself wondering what happened to the robbers guys, because in the opening scene they're in a convertible, but then when they're driving in town they're in like a pickup truck. Like
that is like true.
Tom's. Yeah. So I wonder what happened to their car.
Yeah, they must have been, you know, just robbing and stealing their way through. Because I think there's even a line where he says like, only go through small towns. Like I think they're laying low, and so they're like, you know, only go, and like that's how they end up in the town. Yeah. But yeah, that is true. I didn't really like put those two things together. That when they left, they're in like a convertible, and then when they get cut off by the bully, they're in like a truck that has like almost like a double decker like
cab thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they're like, if they like when we're out of water, go fill some up. They had a cooler in the back. Like, can't you guys buy water? So maybe they're like running, and also there was like a bunch of Aquafina like bottled water in the fridge. Like you could have taken that too. Like that's more water. So maybe they're like trying to completely avoid like any sort of like business or like whatever, and that's so they'll just like drive a car until it runs out of gas, and then instead of like getting more gas, they'll just steal somebody else's car,
right?
Drive a new one or something. I'll start us off. I liked the movie. Yes. I don't know what I wasn't connecting a lot to. I loved Vigo, but like that, you know, that the ending scene, like I said, like I agree that I think that was the way to do it, but I didn't really feel much at the end, I'll say. But I like all the different character actors that show, you know, all the bad guys are all kind of like fun, and I love me some Vigo. It's still good. I went with a 6 for me. So I liked it. I just didn't do a whole ton for me, but I still had a good time. So
Okay. Yeah, this one like I said, I'd seen it years ago, forgotten most of it, and then sitting down watching it again, I was pretty excited to sit down and watch it, because David Cronenberg is one of those directors that, you know, I want to see more of his stuff, and any opportunity to revisit some stuff that I haven't seen in a while. Yeah. It's always nice. So I think I ended up with an 8 on this one. I enjoyed it quite a bit, and I liked the way that they explored the ideas of violence, of like, you know, like man's innate nature, and like him using it as like a conflict resolution tool, and like I don't know, I kind of liked the ideas of toying with all of those like concepts of that, and like the fact that it wasn't hyper stylized, it wasn't meant to be cool or badass, and like there's even in like the IMDb trivia at the end, I was talking about like the kind of like the shootout scene at the end with William Hurt and all of his goons, that there's like hardly any music there at all. Like they went out of their way to not make it sexy and cool and awesome. So you know, it's kind of just like a meditative on that point of like implementing violence, and like even with the son beating the shit out of the bully, and like that genetic element there where it's like he's got it in him too, and his son will have it in him, and that kind of shit. I don't know, I just like those ideas. And Ed Harris was great, Vigo was great, really the standout performances, and I think Ed Harris, pretty much anything he's in, I'm here for it. So based on those two guys and like the ideas of the movie, and again that ending that kind of gives you, it's bitter and sweet, where you don't really know if they are doing it because they love him or they're afraid of him, or maybe those two things are inextricably linked, which is, you know, kind of explains the sexy stare sex scene, where it's like, it's, you know, the violence evokes fear but also arousal. It's like very primal. Yeah, I liked all those ideas. So I landed on an 8 for this one.
Nice.
I really want to see Eastern Promises. That's another one with Vigo and Cronenberg that like I've heard nothing but great things about, and I know I think Vigo hangs dong in a in like a, again, cool. Another like very like unsexy, uncool fight scene that's just like brutal. So
yeah, I thought of that when you see his butt on the stair scene in this. I was like, that's a preview for him hanging dong in the next movie.
What's to come?
Yeah, that's one that I also saw probably roughly around the same time as this one. But I'm like more looking forward to rewatching. I feel like I remember liking that one even more.
Nice.
So yeah, I'm curious to see how that one holds up after watching this one. I think Vigo might have gotten a like an Oscar nom for that one.
Oh, really?
I think it got some. If not for him, I think it got some random ones.
Right.
Yeah, cool. Good stuff. It's fun. It was a fun revisit for sure. I went to Chicago this weekend to see a movie that I'd kind of been following for a couple years, called the People's Joker. It originally premiered at TIFF a couple years ago, and then was immediately like removed for like copyright infringement. and stuff, because it's like people like the Joker, like the DC Comics character, the Joker.
Not in the public domain, huh?
No, but after a couple years of dealing with that, the director, writer, editor, star et al. Vera Drew was able to get it, fair use, Creative Commons sort of.
Yeah, she just put the YouTuber thing, like citing like the 1976,
like what I do
whatever
in my videos.
yeah, which I don't think really does anything.
I don't think it does. I do it just
to protect your ass,
just to have it there, and then I can have another reason to bitch about it when they remove one random song for some like months after I post a video. It's so fucking annoying. But no, it literally does, not with that specifically, but there is like, it opens with like a disclaimer like this, falls under fair use. This is like parody, this is satire, so da da da. Yeah. So now it's released. She's doing like a tour, or the movie's like touring, I guess, and then she is showing up. She was at the Chicago show at the set at the Music Box Theater. She did like a Q&A thing afterwards. It was pretty cool. I was not sure if I was going to like the movie at all. But I'd been so curious. It piqued my interest. I'd seen the trailer, just like the poster always kind of stuck with me. And then just the story, like even if I didn't like it, I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna support somebody who's like, working around like copyright like that to to get their movie made. And I feel somewhat of a kinship with somebody like making a parody movie about like comic book characters. Hers is more purposeful. There's more of a point or a reason, I guess.
I read a little bit of like the synopsis, so I have kind of an idea of what's going on with it.
Yeah, it's her life story. She is a trans woman, and it's basically about her kind of journey with like coming to, I don't want to say like coming to terms, but like her struggles with it, and then and how it's framed in the movie is that she becomes the Joker, and that's like becoming a woman or whatever. And so she plays both like her, I don't know how to like phrase this, but like, her former male self. I don't know if that's the proper way to phrase that, but she like plays former her and then like current her, kind of like telling her like you see like the Joker, her kind of like retelling her life story. So it's like before and after transition and stuff. And I don't know. I just wasn't sure if I was going to like connect with that. And also just the visual style. You look at the visual style and it's like it looks very like YouTube poopy, like very well, and this makes sense because she worked for these guys. It feels very Tim and Eric, like the look and everything to it. And she did work for like Absolutely and like Comedy Bang Bang and those kinds of, that group of comedians, I guess. And it has it looks like that, and it's very energetic. It's very like always like shit is like always happening, always going on. But I loved it. I thought it was fucking hilarious. One of the best comedies I've seen in a while. Part of that was because of the I thought the Batman stuff there was more just as kind of like a fun coding to like maybe to make what is a deeply like personal story to make it more like, I guess, fun and not just like sad, because it is like dealing with like a lot of like heavy personal trauma, but it's also very like funny. Like it's not taking every single thing like super seriously,
Right.
But there's like, I was impressed with how many like really deep cut like Batman jokes there were, or like comics jokes there were, or even just on a broader scale like media stuff. There's because there's references to like, you know, in universe characters, but also like real life. Like there's like a blink and you miss it shot of like this guy who was like really had like a really popular Joker cosplay like 10 years ago. And I was like, holy shit, I recognize that guy. He wasn't actually in it, but like they use a clip from like some like YouTube video that he was in or something like that. So there's like stuff like that, or they don't even like allude to it, but I noticed there's like, when they're doing some like establishing shots of Gotham, there's like this particular weird big statue that was in Batman Forever. And they even like allude to like, in this, Batman is a real person, but also there are like Batman movies where like he plays himself and he's like really cool and sexy and awesome and stuff. So there's a scene where like she as a kid goes to see what is in our world Batman Forever, but it's called like Batman is outrageously awesome or something like weird like that. And but also like he's some characters like Batman is like only seen animated. He's never played by like a real person. He's just like a like hand drawn like animated character. Or there's Lorne Michaels is a character in it, but he's this like really poorly animated like 3D model where like his limbs are always like clipping into them or like not like moving naturally. Where, like he has to like run like down some stairs and his legs are like rotating like 360 degrees, like that kind of shit. And his voice is like, it's like they're not even trying to like imitate them. He's like, he doesn't sound like Lorne Michaels. He's just like, hey, I'm Lorne Michaels, I do this show. Like it's nothing like how he actually sounds.
It's Maria Bamford.
Is Lorne Michaels?
Yes.
Okay. Because I think
so I'm looking at the cast.
Does she do Mrs. Mixelpix too? Does it say that?
Christian Calloway.
It does Mrs. Mixelpix. Okay. Shit.
No, it's Dr. Hold on. No,
I knew Maria Bamford was in it. I just thought she was Mrs. Mixelpix. But I mean, she could be.
Sarah Squirm was originally the voice of Lorne Michaels.
Oh, okay.
Which is ironic because Sarah Squirm is currently an SNL cast member.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a lot of digs at, well, obviously, Lorne Michaels, but a lot of other like digs at SNL and stuff.
I see Alec Robbins is Mr. Boop. Are you aware of like the Mr. Boop thing?
I don't know. I will say they're like, some of the jokes are like, so like, I didn't get all the jokes. There were some jokes that like the rest of the crowd like laughing hard at. Like, so there's a lot of deep cut jokes that I didn't catch too.
Okay. Yeah, because Alec Robbins, I think he worked on the Eric Andre show. I think he was like a writer on that. But he has a webcomic where he wrote himself into a comic where he marries Betty Boop.
Oh, okay.
But I think he like the sort of like character of him is that he thinks he's actually married to Betty Boop, like in real life.
Okay.
So it's funny to see the Alec Robbins as Mr. Boop, because it's like,
That's
oh,
funny.
okay, yeah. But I see that Scott Aukerman's in it, Tim Heidecker, Bob Odenkirk.
A lot of the like those guys you just named, they have like a line or two.
Oh,
it's more just like little like cameo things where it's like, oh look, we got the whole team here. Here's Mr. Freeze, and he's his cool party, and which is something that Arnold.
I also see
says
David Liebhart is in this, which is awesome.
now he is not just a cameo. He is like one of the more like main characters. He plays Ra's al Ghul, that's Liam Neeson from Batman Begins. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in this, he's supposed to be like he's the best like stand-up comedian in the world. Basically, he's like the idol. He's the Joker's idol. And she like ends up kind of like training with him and, you know, teaching. Her whole thing is that she's practicing like anti-comedy. Like one of her acts is like she has people come up on stage and tell like stories about their like personal tragedy, and then like she interrupts them by taking some like Joker like laughing gas and like like cackling, like laughing, like falling to the floor, like laughing at their story and stuff. So it's there's like scenes where she's training with Ra's al Ghul and, you know, teaching him like these are the rules of comedy, but then it'll flash to them and they'll be like in like the ninja gear from Batman Begins and like fighting on the ice and, you know, still talking about how to like this is how you do a punchline or whatever, and then like sword fight shit.
Awesome.
Yeah. And then like her like in the you know, the narrator version, it's her ex, but like her boyfriend character in this, who's like a toxic abusive boyfriend, is the Jared Leto Joker. That's like how she's like portrayed as, how the boyfriend character is portrayed as, which is I don't know, it's pretty, there's just so many good like apt like representations of you know, references, are like it's not just for like reference, right? It's like it works on like multiple levels, and yeah, it's just funny. It's a lot of like really just quick, like there's like 1,000 jokes a minute, and then some of the it mostly towards the end for me, there's like because it's obviously going to be rife with like, this is her like life story. It's a lot of like her, she says that like, this is her trauma, but with Batman characters. Like when she like introed the movie, she's like this is like me just talking about my relationship with my mom, but using Batman characters and smashing them together. But there's moments like at the end, like the big kind of like climax scene with Miss Mixoplex, where there's surprisingly poignant like emotional beats amidst all this like rainbow puke looking like
YouTube poop shit.
Amidst all that, the emotional beats like still kind of work, which is pretty cool. And yeah, again, just like the whole story about how it came to be and everything. Cool, fun, you know, it's cool to like get behind a filmmaker like that, who's like not coming from nothing. Again, she did have history with Absolutely and Comedy Bang Bang and maybe some others. So it's not like a complete nobody, but it's still pretty cool.
Yeah,
you know.
You guys went to Chicago specifically for this screening?
Yeah, that was why I saw that Vera was gonna be there, and I was like, well, yeah, I know, like there's gonna be, because there's some random people in the movies are gonna be at like different screenings. But I was like, yeah, but I kind of want to go to one where she's gonna be there. And it was really fun listening to her like talk like during the Q&A. Yeah, she's like a really like good host, I guess. Really fun to listen to. But yeah, I might go check that out too. I when we were walking up to the theater, because like Kalia knew like next to nothing about it. Like I mentioned, I was like, when I was like getting the tickets like a month ago, I was like, hey, if I get these tickets for the show in Chicago, do you want to go? Because otherwise I'll just like do a day trip or whatever and just go by myself. and she was like, oh yeah, that sounds fun. Like, she didn't really care what the movie was. She was like, yeah, that sounds, yeah, we could do that. So then we like get to the theater, and I'm like walking by, and I like point, and I'm like to the poster, and I'm like, that's the one we're seeing. And she was like, oh, that looks terrible. and then like I went and like got us drinks, and then I came back to like where she's sitting in the auditorium. She's like, I just like looked it up on Google. It's like, this looks really bad. It's like, I was like, well, I was like, yeah, I don't know. It might be. I don't know. But she said she really liked it too. She even said the like there was, and I mean, I knew there was some, you know, nerdy, obscure like Batman jokes that I was like, I would like. She was not laughing, like she didn't get it, but she even said that like, yeah, there was a lot of jokes that I didn't like, but everything that I did get was really funny. So, you know, there's enough there where like you don't have to be like a comic book nerd to, you know, get a lot of the humor still.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's touring for the next couple months, so check your local listings, I guess.
We can touch briefly on this. I don't know if I put this one in the cup or not, but
if you didn't, I did.
We watched. It is in there. Okay.
Yeah, somebody did.
Okay. We watched Kiss Kiss Bang Bang the other night, which is a Shane Black movie, and it was really good. It was really funny. You know, I kind of miss that era of Robert Downey Jr. Like, I feel like after this and like Zodiac, he got sucked into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and like we just haven't seen it. He like got spit out as you know, an Oppenheimer. I'm sure he's done other stuff in between then, but
Tropic
this
Thunder
was
Thunder. After Iron Man 1.
That's once you got that Iron Man money, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But this was pretty damn good. I liked Val Kilmer in it a lot too.
Yeah,
Val Kilmer
he's great.
is, what is it, Gay Perry or something?
Gay Perry, yeah.
It just it had all of the like it felt like The Nice Guys.
Yeah,
Like, it's
I think that's
two
what
guys
I said, like, yeah.
solving a crime, and it just goes all these different places. They clash with each other, and then they're like, we're done with each other, and then one of them will find a clue, and then they get drawn back to each other, and they're like, no, we got to solve the case. And there's all these kind of twists and turns, and like I feel like there's multiple you don't know who the bad guy is. And yeah, exactly.
Underbelly, like, yeah.
The only thing that really like kind of brought it down a little bit for me was the romance subplot, I think. Or it, and I don't think it's necessarily romance in these movies, but I think, I don't know, I think when Shane Black does like sentimentality in any of his movies, you get whiplash. Like I think even with our Nice Guys review, I mentioned like anytime his daughter was like, but you promised you wouldn't kill anybody, and like the music kind of changes and swells, and like there's this like, you're supposed to feel this emotional connection with him and his daughter. That stuff like didn't super duper work for me. With this movie, it was like the romance between Robert Downey Jr. and Harmony is her name.
Yeah.
That stuff, I was like, no, don't make it like sappy and sentimental and like romantic. Just give me more scenes where he's pissing and he looks in the corner and he sees a dead body and he turns and he pisses on the dead body. So that was like my minor nitpick, where I was just like, the romance stuff is whatever, but everything else about it was great. The scene, cool. and if we ever pull it, we can talk more in depth about it. But just the way that Shane Black does violence rules, which complete opposite of a history of violence, where violence is just like terminal. You're snuffing out a life, and it's very dark. It's very like, you know, it's not hyper stylized. In this, the part where like they're at the hospital and one of the orderlies like works for the guy who's like kind of orchestrating all the bad shit, and they get him on the off foot, so like they're in control of the situation now, and this orderly is like not telling him anything, and Robert Downey Jr. trying to be a badass empties all of the bullets out of the gun, puts one in, and spins it, and he's like,
That's
all
right.
right, I'm gonna give you one chance, and then it's like then blows him away, and it's like, of course, like as soon as he's like gonna play Russian roulette, I knew immediately that as soon as he goes to like do it, he's just it's gonna land on the one bullet that's in the chamber, and of course it does, and just blows him away, and it's stuff like that. Or like he throws Val Kilmer's gun into the lake, and he's like, "You don't think they're gonna comb the lake? That was a gun that my mother got me 20 years ago. Why did you throw it in the lake?" He's like, So yeah, just it was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, nice.
So that was one off the list.
Yeah, I adore that movie too. To me that and The Nice Guys are like, it's like two sides of the same coin.
Yes.
Like very, like the two kind of bumbling characters. It feels like The Nice Guys is just kiss kiss bang bang, but with like a 70s skin, basically. And I'm like totally cool with it.
Oh
like,
yeah.
With them, kind of being like a very like similar movie. Even where like I love the way that he does like action in those, like how in both the climax to both of those is there's other stuff going on, but it's like Ryan Gosling and then Robert Downey Jr. like stumbling and like tripping their way into success.
Yeah. Yes.
To where like he in Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, he falls over and he's like hanging like over hanging under the overpass, and then like gets the guys or whatever.
He's holding on to the hand of like a corpse in a casket.
Right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it's so cool. It's so like slick and cool in how like stumbly and bumblefucky it is. And even in like I mean, this is an Iron Man movie, but we're talking about how like you lose this kind of Robert Downey Jr. But
that's right.
Shane Black did Iron Man 3, and it feels very much like his character in this, but also Tony Stark.
Right.
And it also follows that pattern of like the climax. I don't know if you've ever seen the third Iron Man movie.
No.
But there's like a running thing in that one where he's got a new prototype armor where like he has like these sensors in his like body where he can just like, put his arms out, and then like anywhere in the world his armor will like fly to him,
right,
via like all these satellites and whatever. It'll shoot down a set of armor and it'll attach to his body, and he'll be Iron Man. Boom. He does, he doesn't have to carry it on him. He can wherever he is. But it's like a constant thing of like he's testing it, so it keeps messing up. Like that's what happens. You have to experiment and you have to perfect it. But like he never perfects it by the end of the movie. So the final like climax battle is him with like 40 of his suits that he is just trying to attach to his body properly, but they keep getting like broken or like ripped off. So he basically has to like fight as Tony Stark in like the final fight, because like every Iron Man suit keeps getting destroyed or like malfunctions or something like that. And so like even in like the context of a Marvel movie, it still feels like that like stumbling your way to success sort of action that I think Shane Black is just like excels at.
Oh yeah.
So really, like, check out Iron Man 3. Just look at it as another Shane Black movie.
Right. Right.
Well, hey, speaking of Marvel movies, different kind of Marvel movie. Next episode is our 150th, and as we have taken to doing for our anniversary episodes, we're doing another trilogy. This time we settled on the Spider-Man trilogy, the OG from director Sam Raimi from 2002, 2004, and 2007, believe. The Tobey Maguire ones, those ones.
Right. The ones you probably saw when you were a kid, if you're our age.
Yeah. So. Yeah, that's what we're doing. We're doing those ones. Trilogy. Again, it's 3 movies you got to watch in a week. We do it all the time.
Yeah.
You can do it too. So watch them before next week if you don't want to be spoiled for the Spider-Man trilogy, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. These episodes come out every Wednesday at 7 p.m. EST on YouTube and Twitch in video form, as well as Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more in audio form. We also have social pages on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And with all that said, I am your little punk-ass chicken shit... I can't say that. Bitch. TJ. And with me as always.
I'm gonna fight you, but then we're gonna make sweet love on the stairs. Because you are my rose. Or wait, scratch that, reverse it. Actually, I'm pretty pissed at you, broheem. And I'm Nick.
That's so fucking corny.